Hey everyone, welcome back to the Rising Convert Experience. It's your host Kelly, and I'm excited to have you join me in another episode. As you know, we have introduced the Muslim Mama series, and I'm so excited to continue the conversation around what it's like to be a mama, are the things that get us moving, what are the things that irks us, what are the things that we want to bring more awareness, and what are the things that we need more advocation for. So I hope, inshallah, that whatever I bring forward is something that can support you in your journey. Now, as you know, this podcast focuses on my personal journey, along with having candid conversations from a Muslim perspective and having discussions around experiences. So inshallah, to get notifications with all the things that we got going on here on the pod, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow here on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and now on Amazon Music. Okay, let's dive into it. So these are going to be points that I'm going to be sharing that I would like to call as my non-negotiables. So my little one's about 15 months now. So that means I've been in this role of a mama for that time. And there's been a lot of things that I've reflected on, a few things that I've recognized about my personality that I just want to continue to amplify and let come out. I've always been known to be pretty cool, calm, and chill. And I feel like to some extent that has been my style with parenting, but there's also been more of a very strong, firm side of me that has taken a back seat because of the way life has just been for me lately. You know, it's been so relaxed. Just there's not a lot for me to really feel strongly about. So it's been interesting, to say the least, to see me become this different type of woman as a mom. We're going to dive into now the first thing that I'm going to see as my non-negotiable. And I just want to preface and say that these are my takes. This is my opinion on what I believe should be a non-negotiable for just in general all women to have. And if you have any sort of comments or suggestions of maybe how things played out for you, please put them in the comments or send me a DM. But don't criticize, do not come at me for my non-negotiables, because again, these are my opinions and you don't necessarily have to agree with them. You just can, listen in and maybe think about why it is that I put these things in place. Okay, first one, controlling the labor and delivery room. 100% non-negotiable. If I'm about to push a baby out of me, then I feel like I most definitely get to decide who's in the room, who's talking, how the energy is going to look like, and to protect that as much as I could. And the reason I say this is because I feel like there's a lot of excitement that goes into having a child, and a lot of people would love to be in the room, and a lot of people would love to just be in there for support. And I think the big thing or misconception is that people want all of that. I think for me personally, I see it as like just having random, even though they're not random people, but just having a lot of random voices, random faces in the room watching you as you're about to push out a human, like if it's a spectator sport. And it's not something for you to watch. It's actually not something that you're invited to. It's very exclusive. There's only a few VIP members that are invited to such an event. And so for me, having control of the labor and delivery room as a mom, 100% have it, take it, own it, because it's so important to be able to hold a sacred space for you to deliver baby with a very stress-free environment. So let me know what you think about that. Let me know if you're more kind of like the mom that likes to have a lot of support, a lot of people playing games, doing the whole thing. Maybe that's your way of being able to relieve some stress factors. For me personally, just being able to have minimal support when it comes to having too many faces, too many energies in a room. That's my take on it. And honestly, I also feel like for me as a woman, it preserves my dignity, my privacy, and my emotions. I've actually learned that as I became a mother, there's a level of vulnerability that I do not want to share and have with people. That includes my family and my husband's side of the family. There are just certain people that I think get it and that can support me in it. And there's not a lot. It's a very, very small. I can literally name the 3, which I won't. But yeah, I think protecting my dignity and my emotions is probably the biggest one, because that's the area that can make me feel a little icky, and I can feel so uncomfortable, which gets into my head, especially in a situation like that. So controlling the labor and delivery room, not negotiable. Second, this one's kind of funny because I think about it and I think about the time that I shared this with my husband, and that is having a birth plan. Now, some mamas I know are so like chill about not having a birth plan, where others may be like me and just find a lot of comfort in having something set out. So for me, having a birth plan is just kind of like thinking ahead. Plans change all the time. Example, my husband and I thought we were going to be like so chill and just, bada bing, bada boom, go to the go to the hospital, deliver baby, be there for max 2 days, just like a standard delivery, and then come home and we have a newborn. That didn't happen. I mentioned in my previous episode, I was diagnosed with preeclampsia. We went in early. We were at the hospital for 5 days. There was just so many things that came after I delivered baby. So plans change. That being said, I feel like still having a birth plan, knowing that things went out the way they did, and some of the things were these complications were a part of my birth plan. I would do it again, and I would always encourage someone who's always like questioning, like, should I not? Because to me, it just means that you have some hopes and you have intentions, and those don't necessarily need to get thrown out of the window. I believe that my birth plan it's like my voice. It's my way of communicating things, having things noted at a time that I had a lot of strength, I had a lot of clarity, I did a lot of research. When I enter the room, 100%, there was a lot of moments where I wasn't feeling like I was strong. I was feeling quite fatigued. I was feeling very dizzy, sick, nauseous, and anything that the doctor, nurse needed for me or wanted to know, especially when it came to allergies or certain complications, it was on my birth plan. Then on the back of it, I actually ended up adding like things that I was allergic to and things that I'm okay with based on additional research that I had done. And these are big decisions. And ultimately, just also knowing my partner. My husband's very supportive. He's always like, whatever works for you, like what is your body telling you? He's so big on that. And some of you might be thinking like, maybe he doesn't want to like take it on, or, he can easily, if he knows you, like make a decision. True, possibly, yeah. Allahu alam, like, if something bad actually like happened to me or things really escalated for us, I'm sure he would know and do the best that he can. But for the most part, like these complications, these things that we can look up online, for me personally, I just wanted to be in control of that and also bring comfort and ease in such a time if it does happen. Alhamdulillah, like things didn't get like super out of hand in our delivery room. But yeah, like I think for me, just having those big decisions and having just a lot of information put on a piece of paper and having that conversation with my nurse, these are just small comforts that just make the process a lot smoother in my mind. Like even things like dimming the lights, I did put that in my birth plan as a request, and it was actually something that I noticed that a lot of the nurses did end up doing. And so just having to not have to voice those things repeatedly really makes a difference. Even now, if you think about it, I just wish people could just take the initiative. Well, in a situation like this where you're pregnant and you're in the delivery room, nurses have so many things going on. So just anything that you can just put forward right away, I feel like it just, maybe this is my experience at the hospital, but they did an amazing job. They were so consistent with like dimming the lights and always superb with their communication. And I appreciated that so much. Also did let them know that if there was anything super serious that they needed my attention, that they could like tap on me or ask my husband if they feel like the question doesn't need to be directed to me. And the reason I said that's because I also had a plan for myself. Once the baby was coming out and the contractions had begun, I had told the nurse that I was going to like lock in, and this is also something that was written in my birth plan, lock in, have my headphones so I can do the best that I could, because I did want to try to go as natural as possible. But yeah, anyways, that didn't work out because I did take an epidural. So we're good. Anyways, but these are just like small other examples to tell you like what I put on the birth plan and why it was so supportive to me. Also being like a Muslim woman who wants to highlight the fact that, you know, certain values that I want to try my best to carry throughout my time at the hospital. Coming into the third point, this one might be a little interesting for you guys, but huge non-negotiable is kind, positive, and firm language. This is something that I realized that it's so important to me in parenting and also during pregnancy. Now, an example that I want to share with you guys is I think sometimes we put a lot of like energy towards like what a mother can't do and shouldn't be doing. And what we don't tend to think about is like how positive is that? Like how positive is this language? Most recently, I was at a doctor's appointment and I was doing a checkup for my body, just kind of trying to see where it's at because I've been experiencing a lot of like pelvic pain. And she was telling me that in her culture, she's Indian, and very likely also in the Arab culture, that a lot of women tend to just sit down and get relaxed and think twice about exercising, think twice about being active. And a lot of the language that's being used throughout the entire time of pregnancy and delivery and postpartum is to like take it easy and like someone else will grab something for them. And then what we don't realize is that we come out of having a baby and we realize that, okay, our bodies now have to continue with our day-to-day lives now with another human attached to us because that's just how it works. But these past 9 months, we haven't exercised, we haven't done much, we've limited ourselves, we've limited our body. And I think a big part of that has to do with who we surround ourselves with and community that we have around. We just need to like let them know that it's okay, that we are strong enough, that we're capable, and that, you know, not saying push yourself to the limits, but this is also an opportunity where positive, firm language can really make a difference. A question that I'm asking even all of you listeners right now, like, do you believe that a lot of the language has been positive with the experience that you've had in carrying a child? And I remember I was telling this to my husband, like, you know, kind of help me out here, shut a few negative things down, shut a few of the comments here and there. For me, I just know words are so powerful. I needed words throughout my entire pregnancy with my little one that lifted me up. I needed instructions to not feel like they were coming from with a sense of like panic or a sense of fear or any sort of snarky comments. I needed like a confident, like, you got this, you can do this, like, you're strong, I'm proud of you. You and your husband, you guys are more than capable of, you know, like, yes, look after your wife, but also like, you know, I love that you guys are going for walks together. That's amazing. That's so cute. Don't ask, are you sure you should be doing that for that long? It's not the energy I needed. That's definitely not the energy I ever wanted to hear, especially as I was getting closer to my delivery date. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did make us women to be quite strong. We are more than capable of handling tough situations and also strengthening our body. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to nourish our body. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also wants our man to support us. Like, we are stronger than we think we are. And I think kind, positive, and firm language has a lot to do with how your headspace is going to look like when you go into pregnancy. For me, it was definitely something I wanted to protect, and even more so in parenting. So going into that part, that angle now in parenting, when I think about my child and I think about the relationship I have with her right now, I think about the kind of language that I use and how she responds to me. And so the relationship that we have, the trust that we're building, all based around like language and communication. And I can see right now I speak to her in Spanish, but I let her know when she's like upset or she's frustrated and angry. I try to call out her emotions and validate and affirm that she's okay to be angry. She's okay to be frustrated. Sometimes I get frustrated and I, you know, talk to her and let her know at times that I am frustrated, even though she doesn't fully understand. But it's a moment that I have with her. You know, it just brings unity and it brings a little comfort, and it kind of removes a bit of that fear and that pressure. And then I also communicate with her like, do you need a hug? Like, or let's hug it out. And those are the ways that I do it. Do you need a hug? And let's hug it out. If you even hear it, it's a very different feeling and tone that you feel when you hear those words. And so I think about that when I see my daughter in certain situations. I really do believe this is a big thing, and I want to model that everything that I learned from like books to YouTube videos, I really tried to share that with my husband as well. He's also really big on having like a positive reinforcement with like a child. And I see how he communicates with her as well. Like, you got this, you can do this. He's definitely more kind of giving me coach style, which is in the best way, which I love. And I always thought maybe that would be me. But I think just having like a different mama approach and instinct, I let her know that she can do things in a different way, whereas he's definitely more like a coach and a believer, number one fan, and he shows it in the way he expresses himself when he's communicating to her. This, for me, non-negotiable in the way we do things and the way we approach things. And maybe you're questioning right now, like, how are you handling this? How are you like confirming or validating or making sure that this is happening in the household? And that's a great question to have. And for me, it's just constant communication with my husband, and also modeling certain things in front of my husband, because I am with her all the time. I am her primary caregiver, and we are aligned ultimately with our goals, values, and vision for our future, for our children, future kids when we expand our family. So that makes it easier. So really, that's just how I hold it. And then really, when it comes to our families, the way they communicate or how things are done, we really try to keep it like we are the two people and the only two people who are going to be disciplining our child and children in the future, inshallah. And really the rest of them are just there for like love, support, and fun. And so also having that as a strong foundation is also making sure that we're protecting the kind of style of language that we want to have with our children. Coming close to the end here, number 4, because I got 5 that I want to share with you all. Number 4, I'm interested to see what some of you are going to say to this and respond to it. Okay, fatherhood means the father is actively involved. And if you're curious about my approach and my why, please DM me at Rising Convert on Instagram or on TikTok. Some of you might be like, what are you talking about? That goes without saying. And honestly, unfortunately, it does not. It does not go without saying. It's not a secret that a lot of fathers enter this new phase in life and kind of gets lost in how to approach fatherhood and feel like a sense of disconnect and question their abilities to even step up as a father. Like, what does that even mean to be a father? And so for me, personally, it just means this isn't just cheering from the sidelines. Now, I do want to go back, and because I did say that my husband kind of has this like coach communication style with like my daughter, with our daughter, when he like cheers her on and he sees her abilities, but it doesn't mean he's on the sideline. He is very much hitting the field, taking a look at the big picture, zooming in, zooming out, doing the whole thing. An active father is something that starts right from the delivery room, and to me, this is a non-negotiable, because I am adamant about the fact that they're also a big part of choosing to have children. Like, it doesn't just happen where they like peace out after baby comes, or they put it all on mama and they dump all the other heavy stuff on mama. It's not something also where I feel like I need to be holding my husband's hand along the way throughout the entire process of becoming a father. I do believe there is grace. I'm not saying don't have that, because we need to be there for our husbands as well. And the reason I also want to put an emphasis on that is because I do believe, and I've had this conversation with my husband and with other friends, that, he kind of was slightly forgotten when it comes to postpartum and delivery. And some of you might be like, yeah, like, that's right. Who cares? Like, it's all about the woman. They're going through it all. That is true. We are taking on a lot when we're delivering baby. That being said, we can't forget about the dads. We can't forget about their mental health. We can't forget about what they're going through. We can't forget about the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made us different, men and a woman. Like, they're not wired the way we are. Us women, from the moment we're born, the way we are looking at things, the way we see things, especially when it comes to our moms, like, it's a huge difference. There's a huge gap between a father and a mother. And so being able to give grace so they can bridge that gap and they can understand who they are and step into that. And then, of course, there comes a time and place where they just have to like make it happen. And so that's why for me it's a non-negotiable, because there's a choice that was made a while back at some point, and when they made that choice, they also have to be held accountable for the things that they need to do to prepare themselves so they are ready when baby is there. And so they are ready when parenting needs to happen. So they are ready when difficult situations are coming up, especially so they're mentally, physically, emotionally ready when they're talking about having another child. This is why, to me, having an active father is a non-negotiable. Some of you might be like, well, wouldn't you know before you get married anyways? Yeah, maybe, or maybe not. Within the Muslim community, marriage happens at very different speeds and times. And so just knowing that I'm putting this out here, and I'm also, in a way advocating for a lot of women who maybe feel like they're being a bit left out and they're getting dumped on with all the things, that it is okay for you to feel the way that you're feeling. If you feel like you have someone, a partner, a supporter who's not as active. That being said, I don't want to get too lost in what the roles should look like, but this is also why I mentioned in my previous episode of, what you should know before you become a first-time Muslim mom, your roles and responsibilities as a mother in Islam, and your roles and responsibilities as a father in Islam. I don't want to dive into it. If you want to check it out, we'll put it in the YouTube link there if you're listening from there. But if not, if you're on Spotify, Apple, or Amazon, just scroll down a bit. It's most recently episode 24, where you can get a lot of insights of my decisions and why I say certain things should be looked into. But I think it's also something that sometimes men don't actually fully know, they're not fully aware of. And so bringing it to light in a very nice, calm, but also, affirming way is the best way to go about it. Most recently, I was listening to a YouTube video of Sayyid Ahmad, and it came to light, how he was talking about Imam Ali, how he was as a father, and how there are certain lessons that we can take on from listening and learning how he went about with his children. And one of the key things that I actually found to be so important and powerful was not only his connection with how he talks to his sons and to his daughters, but the thing that was so important here was the quote that is very famous that was said, that Imam Ali told his son, Imam Hassan, that a heart of a youth is like a uncultivated piece of land. Whatever you throw on it, it accepts. Therefore, what did I do? I tried to mold your heart so that you would learn from my lessons and apply them to your life as a lesson. And so I love gardening, and the way I see this is like, you can have a very clean sweep piece of land. You can throw as many seeds on there, whether good or bad seeds, it's going to grow. And so having this video be almost like an outline and guideline for me for what I would like and what is expected, but it's also what is being said from one of our imams is very powerful. And so this link I will share in the description box of this episode. So be sure to check it out if you're interested and you want to hear the full lecture. I think it will help you and shift your mind. Highly recommend it. I really enjoyed it. It was a great lecture. Coming into the fifth and last final one. This is also another one. I recently had a conversation with my husband and with my sister about it. It's connection over discipline, starting from day one. And so by that I mean from the moment baby takes their first breath, it's about bonding. From the moment baby is out, we're not barking orders. We're doing skin to skin. We're having gentle hands. We're having very soft, calm voices. There's a lot of moments where everything is literally about connection, especially in that newborn phase. We aren't raising our child to be a well-behaved baby. We are raising our child in a way where we are building trust and we are loving them. And the discipline grows from that. The discipline comes later. And it's something that is so powerful. And there's this podcast that I listened to, which I will also link in the description of this episode. It's called the Brat Buster podcast. And it just talks a lot about how discipline can be so meaningless and waste of energy, because if there's no connection or trust set up as a foundation between you and your child, you're already going to be losing or you've already lost. And so for me, I think about that a lot, and I think about what do we do with our kids to make sure that their cups are full. And so for me, setting up a small little routine, as in like getting up. Now my baby's at an age where she can wait a little bit before I make her breakfast. She can kind of watch me, make breakfast. I involve her so that way she gets a bit of that connection. Sometimes I'll let her hold on to like the wooden spoon and we're like scrambling the eggs together, and then we sit together. We're having a good probably 2 hours of solid connection. So that way when it's my time to, get some space, I feel good about it. I don't feel completely guilty about it. When I know she hasn't had the one-on-one attention, even if it's like 10, 15 minutes, and we have had a day that's been a little all over the place and a little bit wonky, knowing that most of her days are based on some sort of routine. Like she knows when she gets up, she's likely going to like brush her teeth or have some water, wait a bit, get some breakfast, have her milk. Like there's these things that she's associated with her first half of the day. If it's looking wonky in another day and she hasn't had any of the connections that she normally has, I understand why she's frustrated and fussy or feeling more attached, or she's clinging on to me. And this is why I really advocate for a lot of like connection. And this is also why I find it to be so important and understand now why certain cultures, quote unquote, lock themselves in their house and not have any visitors, including family, direct family, including grandparents. I'm assuming, granted, like this is a situation where not a lot of support is needed. And use that sacred time of that 1 month of 30 days to just grow and connect with baby. And so I get it now because it is so important. It's their first few weeks of life, and it's going to have a huge difference in as baby develops a relationship not only with mom but with dad. And so I think about that a lot because we didn't do that. But I understand now why people do it and why people talk about it and why it's healthy and why they advocate so much about how people shouldn't be interrupting the first few weeks of dad and baby's connection. And usually the focus is more around that because moms naturally tend to have that bond. Babies come out and they land on mom's chest, and that we know it. That's something that I experienced. And I also think about like my husband, his experience. I can't remember too much of how it was like, but sometimes when after hearing some of these stories and conversations with some friends and other moms, I did think about like, oh, did my husband get all the time that he did want with baby or that he needed and he didn't know that he needed because someone else was there to take baby when, she was done with me or something? Like, I don't know. Like, I think about those things and I definitely don't stress about it now. But when I have these conversations with other moms who did it so differently and really made connection like a top value in the early weeks of their newborn's life, I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't know what that's like because we didn't necessarily do that. And so they protect that space, that time. The other part that I think about as well is just in general, when it comes to like having, again, a great foundation, a relationship with my little one now. And I think about how my family did it. We got through a lot of difficult times because we each shared something unique with each other. And the only way that you can do that is by making time, creating an environment to have connection. And so an example that I think a lot of you know, and it's very much out there as a parent, is the phone technology part. I'm not sitting here hating on any of that. Like, you do what you got to do. My child, she gets a TV every once in a while. So I get it. But for me, in my household, non-negotiable, like having now a phone during dinner is something most recently that I had a conversation with my husband. We established that rule where we're not going to have that. We hold each other accountable. And yes, she's 50 months old, but these are just habits that we need to get in place and to create a time that is sacred and for connection. When baby sees us focus on each other and having conversation and we're connecting, we're making eye contact, that is so important to me. And so non-negotiable. Let me know if there's anything that has supported you in creating an environment that's quite filled with a lot of connection. If there's anything that you do with friends or family, would love to hear those tips, because I think this is still an area that I'm still trying to navigate with other loved ones, and honestly still in our household as well. I'm sure we're going to, or it's going to maybe rock our world if we expand our family at some point, inshallah. All right, everyone, that's what I got. These are my non-negotiables since I've become a Muslim mama. Let me know what you think. Let me know if there's anything in particular that you want to learn more about. And again, if so, like, subscribe, follow. All right, everyone, take care. Assalamu alaikum.